Yesterday was Thursday. Today is Friday. We so excited. If that blazingly observant lyric brings annoying smile, then you're among the millions who've been infected by the latest viral video to sweep the land. Rebecca Black may have the last laugh as she starts to make serious money off all the attention. It is a lesson in modern fame. And Andrea Canning reports, Rebecca Black was supposed to disappear after Friday became the internet's biggest joke. But in 2025, something nobody expected happened. The girl who once cried herself to sleep from death threats is now headlining major festivals and earning millions. Her transformation started with a $20,000 mistake that almost destroyed her. But the real shock isn't her success. It's what she revealed about the industry that made her famous. The secrets she's finally sharing about those dark years will change how you see viral fame forever. Rebecca Renee Black came into the world on June 21, 1997 in Irvine, California, a city carefully built for families and success. Her parents, John Jeffrey Black and Georgina Marquez Kelly, were both veterinarians who ran a clinic where they treated everything from parrots to guinea pigs. John had deep Midwestern roots. Born in Iowa with a blend of English, Italian, and Polish blood, Georgina had moved from Mexico, bringing with her culture, bilingual warmth, and a different rhythm into the home. Their clinic wasn't just where they work. It became a second home for Rebecca. By 5, she wasn't just watching her parents treat animals. She was helping them. She fed rabbits, cleaned cages, and held small creatures steady during checkups. There are photos of her smiling next to reptiles and small mammals, already confident in an environment that might have overwhelmed other children. The family's mix of science, compassion, and steady support gave her early strength and curiosity that would carry her far beyond the clinic walls. But life shifted when she was 7. In 2004, her parents divorced. Even though the word divorce often brings images of broken homes, this one didn't fracture. Rebecca and her younger brother, Chase, continued to move between both parents' homes in Iran. Their parents managed to keep things calm, respectful, and united when it came to raising their kids. It wasn't perfect, but it wasn't bitter. Rebecca learned early what it meant to adapt, to hold her ground in the middle of change, and how to process hard things without letting them pull her under. That would matter a lot more than anyone realized at the time. Before the public ever knew her name, Rebecca was already on stage. At just 2 years old, she was in ballet class. By 4, she was doing tap and jazz at the Marie Sharp School of Dance, stepping out in recital held at places like Irvine Marriott and the City Hall. There, in front of small crowds, she danced and sang nursery rhymes, and the applause, no matter how soft, planted a seed. Her energy, her posture, even her tiny jazz hands hinted at something bigger. By the time she turned 7, she was nailing complex routines, her body catching the beat like it had always known it. That same year, 2005, she joined a youth music group called Celebration USA. They didn't just rehearse in small rooms. They aimed for big stages. And on July 4th, Rebecca stepped onto one of them, Angel Stadium in Anaheim. More than 40,000 people packed the stands as she sang the national anthem. Her voice came out clear, strong, unshaken. The cameras caught it. The crowd cheered and something shifted. She later said it felt like a dream, but it was more than that. It was the first time she truly saw the scale of what music could do, how it connected, calmed, and lifted people all at once. Every summer, her family returned to Mexico City. There, Rebecca watched telenovas with her mother and mimicked mariachi songs, recording herself with the family camcorder. She was 8, dancing around the living room, echoing the voices of full-grown singers on the TV. It wasn't just mimicry, it was study. The rhythm, the pitch, the emotion in every note, they all sank in. Mariachi shaped the way she understood sound. It added color to her voice and confidence to her style. It helped her see how her background made her unique, not awkward. By the time she was 10, she landed her first big stage role. She played Lori in a local production of Oklahoma, and for 2 weekends over 200 people came to see the shows. She didn't use a mic. Her voice filled the space all on its own. She had memorized every song, every line, every movement. The director was stunned by her commitment and stage comfort. It wasn't just performance anymore. It was proof she could hold her own on a real stage. That role changed something inside her. It gave her permission to aim higher. Between ages 9 and 11, she spent her summers at the Best of Broadway camp at Orange County High School of the Arts. For weeks each summer, she trained in choreography, harmonies, and ensemble performance. She didn't always get the lead roles. Once she was turned down because they thought her vocal range wouldn't stretch far enough. But she didn't quit. The camp taught her how to lose with grace and keep climbing. It taught her that hard work doesn't always get you the front row, but it gets you ready when your time finally comes. From kindergarten to 6th grade, she went to private school. She was smart, expressive, always moving in ways that didn't quite match the stiff, traditional vibe of her classmates. Her dance moves and artsy energy got her labeled as weird. She was called an overachiever, mocked in the hallways, and often pushed to the sidelines. It got worse each year. By the time 6th grade ended in 2009, the teasing had drained her. Her family pulled her out and transferred her to a public school in Northeast Orange County, hoping the change would ease the pressure. But it didn't. Her passion for performing arts made her stand out again. And this time, the bullying escalated. 7th grade began in 2009 and felt like quicksand. She found safety in the school's musical theater program. It had about 30 kids who loved to sing, act, and perform. They became her second family. They did Kelly Clarkson covers at school assemblies, and those moments gave her enough strength to keep going. That theater group was the only place where her spark wasn't ridiculed, kept her from fading completely. But the bullying outside that bubble got worse in 2010. In 7th grade, kids threw food at her during lunch. They laughed at her during rehearsal. They called her a show-off. She'd lock herself in the bathroom, crying sometimes daily. She kept a 3.5 GPA, but the grades didn't matter. The pressure crushed her spirit. The school felt like a trap. She didn't want to go. She didn't want to speak. She didn't want to be seen. In 2010, she auditioned for the X Factor, singing Kelly Clarkson songs again, but didn't make it past the first rounds. That rejection dug deep. At the same time, she was balancing theater, demo recordings, and school assignments. Her English class became a brick wall she couldn't climb anymore. It wasn't just stress, it was drowning. By April 2011, just weeks before the internet would explode with her song, she left school entirely. Her mother said the bullying and academic overload had left no other choice. Homeschooling was the only way to keep her safe. Then came Friday. The video was meant to be simple, a chant, a song she could use as a stepping stone. But when it dropped online in April 2011, it went viral for all the wrong reasons. Mockery flooded the internet. The hate was immediate and brutal. Her classmates tormented her by singing the lyrics back to her in sarcastic voices. The teasing turned into threats. Some were online, some weren't. Some were serious enough to terrify her parents. Her mom pulled her out of public spaces and doubled down on homeschooling to protect her daughter. Rebecca Black was 13 in late 2010 when she heard about a small Los Angeles company called Arc Music Factory. It wasn't a label in the traditional sense, but a production house that promised stardom for a few thousand. Families could pay between $2,000 and $4,000 for a pre-written pop song, a music video, and the dream of going viral. Rebecca's mother, Georgina Kelly, decided to take the leap, paying the full $4,000 to give her daughter the best package Arc offered. Most parents treated it as a novelty, but Georgina was careful. Their contract was unusual because it let Rebecca keep full ownership of the song and video, while most kids handed everything to Arkansas. For Rebecca, it wasn't about fame yet. She was just a 13-year-old who loved singing and wanted something to call her own. When she walked into Arc's Hollywood studio in December 2010, she had to pick between two songs written by the company's producers. One was called Superwoman, filled with lyrics about romance and adult emotions she couldn't relate to. The other was Friday, written by Clarence J. and Patrice Wilson. It was simple and upbeat, describing the excitement of the weekend, and that was enough to make her smile. She chose Friday. The vocals were recorded over 2 separate 4-hour sessions. The song's bass was a repetitive chord progression, easy for anyone to remember. Ark's producers smoothed every note with autotune until her voice sounded mechanical, something that would later draw ridicule. Rebecca didn't fight it. She just wanted to sing it exactly as written, determined to finish what she had started. The video was shot on January 6, 2011 at her father's house. It was a small production with 5 crew members, a borrowed limousine, and her real friends as extras. The whole thing was filmed in a single long day that stretched over 12 hours. The crew tried to give it a glamorous look, even using Rebecca's backyard for the party scenes. Nobody expected much. Ark told her family to anticipate only a few hundred views. On February 10, 2011, the video quietly went live on YouTube. For a few weeks, nothing happened. Then, out of nowhere, the internet found it. By March 13, 2011, Friday had crossed 16 million views. It started when Daniel Tosh mentioned it on his Comedy Central show Tosh Duru on March 11th. The next day, views jumped past 1 million. Within a week, it became the most searched phrase on Google and topped the iTunes teen chart. By the end of 2011, the video had been viewed 180 million times, making it the most watched YouTube video of that year. What had started as a $4,000 home project turned into one of the biggest viral explosions in internet history. The production behind it was as basic as the song itself. Ark Music used heavy autotune, a bouncy synth line, and simple beats. The rap verse performed by Patrice Wilson himself was added as filler to stretch the runtime to 3 minutes and 55 seconds. Critics mocked the robotic tone, but it made the song recognizable everywhere. When Friday was released on iTunes on March 14th for 0.99, it shot up to number 19 on the iTunes chart. Within a week, Billboard estimated that $43,000 copies sold in the first 2 weeks. And by March 21st, Ari and Rebecca had already made about $20,000 from YouTube's ad revenue. At first, Rebecca thought the sudden fame was funny. Her family threw a small party on release day where she performed the song for friends. They had no idea what was coming. The internet's reaction turned brutal. By April, Friday had become the most disliked video on YouTube, surpassing Justin Bieber's Baby. It reached over 1.17 million dislikes that month and eventually climbed to more than 3 million. News outlets around the world reported it as the worst song ever made. Rebecca's name was everywhere. She appeared on Ellen DeGeneres' show on March 17, 2011. Performing in front of 4 million viewers, Ellen teased her lightly and the audience cheered. For a moment, she felt seen in a good way. But when she went home, the internet was already tearing her apart. Comment sections filled with insults, memes, and personal attacks. By March's end, she was receiving up to 100 death threats through YouTube and Twitter. Some messages told her to kill yourself. Others described how they would harm her if she didn't delete the video. The Anaheim Police Department confirmed 2 active death threat cases, one through email and one through phone. Rebecca was terrified. She said later that she cried every night, scared that someone might show up at her house. Her school life fell apart, too. Students mocked her in the hallways, shouting, "Friday!" in exaggerated voices. Some threw food at her during lunch. Teachers couldn't stop the bullying. By April, her parents decided to pull her out of school for her safety. She started homeschooling and attending therapy twice a week. The trauma ran deep. She said she stopped trusting people, feeling isolated, even when surrounded by family. The laughter online had turned into real pain in her everyday life. Even celebrities joined in. Katy Perry invited her to appear in the last Friday night video that summer, which seemed like a kind gesture. But soon afterward, both Perry and Lady Gaga joined the memes, joking about Friday. Seeing her idols laugh at her made Rebecca feel betrayed. She said later that it was one of the lowest points of her life, realizing how cruel fame could be. Behind the scenes, Ark Music tried to take control of the success. They demanded 50% of the royalties, even though the contract said otherwise. Rebecca's family lawyer, Brian Shaw, sent a letter on March 29th accusing Ark of exploiting her image, selling unauthorized ringtones, and falsely advertising her as their exclusive artist. When Ark refused to release the master files, The video was briefly taken down from YouTube in June 2011 during the dispute. It was a messy lesson in the business side of viral fame. By then, Friday had sold over 500,000 copies in the United States and went gold. The song charted in 12 countries and appeared on UK's Top 40. It inspired parodies on late-night television and even a cover by Gwyneth Paltrow on Glee. At just 13, Rebecca Black had become a symbol of how fast the internet could lift someone up and tear them down in the same breath. The numbers told one story: 180 million views by year's end, 3.22 million dislikes, and nearly 500,000 sales. But behind those numbers was a scared teenager trying to understand why millions of strangers hated her. Friday wasn't just a pop song anymore. It was a mirror showing how quickly fame, cruelty, and business could collide in the online age, leaving a child to deal with the consequences alone. After the legal mess with Arc Music ended in September 2011, Rebecca Black decided to move forward on her own. Just a month before, in July, she had launched her first post-Friday single called My Moment under her own label, RB Records. She hoped it would be the big reset, the moment where people would stop laughing and start listening. It got 1 million views in its first week, but that felt small compared to Friday, which had 167 million. She performed the song live on the Today Show in front of 5 million viewers, hoping the exposure would help, but it didn't chart and critics panned. Even the music video shot with real dancers and behind-scenes footage couldn't save it. For the first time, she wasn't just being made fun of. She was being ignored, and that stung even more. By December 2013, she tried again. This time it was Saturday, a follow-up to Friday, released with YouTuber Dave Days. She poured her energy into it, trying to turn the joke into something fun and self-aware. But critics weren't having it. They called it desperate. On YouTube, the video racked up over 2 million dislikes. It debuted at number 55 on the Billboard Hot 100 and sold just 3,000 downloads that first week. It was a gut punch. Rebecca sank into depression, started therapy, and pulled back. No matter how much effort she put in, she couldn't seem to escape the shadow of that one song. In 2013, she packed her things and left Orange County. At 16, she moved to Los Angeles alone. Her parents were scared, unsure if she was ready, but she was tired of waiting for the industry to take her seriously. She walked dogs for $15 an hour to pay rent, chasing auditions and meeting with labels like Intercope that never called back. The isolation hit hard. The glamour of LA faded quickly. It was cold, competitive, and far from the sheltered suburbs she grew up in. But she stayed. She had already sacrificed too much to back out now. By 2015, she had finished high school through homeschooling, but she didn't feel like a normal teen. She wasn't living a normal life. That year, she tried recording a new EP. It cost her $20,000 just to get the demos made. Before she could release it, the songs leaked. People mocked the tracks online. The feedback was so brutal that she scrapped the whole project. She was emotionally and financially drained. Each time she tried to move forward, the internet seemed to drag her back. That same year, she dipped her toe into acting, landing a small cameo in the film Hitman's Bodyguard. But when the movie was released, her scene had been cut. So she pivoted to YouTube. She started posting vlogs, makeup tutorials, and behind-the-scenes videos. By 2016, her channel had 1.5 million subscribers. It wasn't music. It wasn't film, but it was something. People liked her for her, not just the song. And for the first time in years, she started to feel like herself again. Then came 2017. She joined the writing camp, a Los Angeles collective known for working with stars like Beyoncé. There she co-wrote The Great Divide, which started as a piano ballad and transformed into a sleek dance track. It cracked the Billboard Dance Club Songs Top 25. Her first chart presence since Friday. This time, people weren't mocking, they were listening, and they respected the craft. For her, this was the moment she'd been chasing for 6 years. Not just a comeback, but a reinvention. In 2019, she pushed further into hyperpop. She released Do You and Sweetheart, both loud, glitchy, and experimental. They pulled from her own voice, chopped, and distorted into something new. Do You talked openly about past relationships, while Sweetheart brought in upbeat chaos. You passed 5 million streams on Spotify. It wasn't mainstream, but it didn't need to be. She had found her crowd, and that crowd saw her not as a punchline but as an artist. In April 2020, Rebecca Black came out as queer during a podcast called Dating Straight. She had just gone through a breakup with producer Lauren Aquilina. The conversation turned honest. She spoke about sexuality being fluid, about how the label queer felt right for her. The response was overwhelmingly kind. People thanked her for being open. That same year, she started working on a new EP called Rebecca Black Was Here. It was her most personal work yet. When it came out in 2021, it passed 10 million YouTube views. For the first time, her music felt fully hers. In February 2021, she went back to the beginning, but on her terms. She dropped a remix of Friday, this time with hyperpop icons like Dylan Brady, Dorian Electra, Big Fredia, and 303. The beat was chaotic and proud, turning the joke into a triumph. The remix pulled 20 million Spotify streams. She performed it in LA clubs, reclaiming the stage that once rejected her. Critics praised it for its humor, its edge, and its transformation. She wasn't just surviving anymore. She was taking control. In February 2023, she released her debut album, Let Her Burn. It was 10 tracks, raw and honest, shaped by producers like Slay Eider and Dorian Electra. The title song hit #1 on iTunes Pop. The album earned her a Grammy nomination for Best Pop Vocal Album. It wasn't viral. It wasn't flashy. It was real. Each track peeled back layers of her journey. Fame, burnout, identity, reinvention, and for the first time in over a decade, the spotlight felt right. Rebecca had quietly been learning to DJ since 2018 using Ableton at home. She didn't go to school for it. She taught herself. In September 2024, she finally performed a full set at Boiler Room in Washington, D.C., blending her old hit Friday with Charlie XCX's 360. Over 500,000 people tuned in live. Critics called it bold and fearless. It led to an invite from Dobby at Coachella in 2025. Her evolution wasn't just vocal. It was musical, technical, and emotional. On March 3, 2025, she released Salvation, her second full-length album. It had 7 tracks like Sugar Water Cyanide and the title song Salvation. The production was darker, inspired by female villains in films like Showgirls. Pitchfork called it sonically dense. Rolling Stone called it fun and electric. Sugar Water Cyanide was described as high-fructose hyperpop. The album was supposed to come out in February, but was delayed because she wanted to honor victims of the LA wildfires. It wasn't just about sound anymore. It was about empathy, too. That same year, she opened for Katy Perry's Lifetimes tour. It spanned over 50 shows across the U.S., including venues like Madison Square Garden and the Toyota Center. Her set list included American Doll, Twist the Knife, Sugar Water Cyanide, the Friday Remix, and Salvation. In San Francisco, her DJ set pulled 20,000 fans. She wasn't just the opening act anymore. She was the reason some people bought tickets. In May 2025, she took over as the DJ for the AMA's afterparty. She wore a custom chainsaw mic and a bridal dress inspired by shotgun weddings. The outfit had ivory silk, a veil, and a sailor hat with her initials. It was theatrical, campy, unapologetic. That same month, she was honored by Variety at the Power of Pride event for her work with GLAAD. She had gone from viral teen to queer advocate, and it showed. Her presence wasn't just musical anymore. It was cultural. By 2025, Rebecca Black had turned 28. Her net worth hit $5 million, built from music, tours, and DJ gigs. She'd never been signed to a major label. Every win was her at La Palua. Her set included 25 songs. Her Boiler Room sets kept growing. On TikTok, she mentored young creators talking about cyberbullying and recovery. She had been the punchline. She had been the silence. But now she was the proof that you could survive all of it.